Chosen Anne, listen closely. Something decisive has happened around your life, and it's not symbolic or poetic language meant to hype you up. This is about authority, closure, and permanence. It's about a matter that has already been ruled on, finalized, and sealed beyond revision. You didn't stumble on this message by accident. Timing matters here. There was a moment specific, intentional, when your name was spoken, your case was reviewed, and a conclusion was reached. And while you're still standing in the aftermath, wondering why things feel quiet but heavy at the same time, heaven is not undecided about you. It's finished. What you're about to hear isn't meant to convince you emotionally. It's meant to inform you legally, spiritually, and personally. I already know what your mind is doing. Part of you is leaning in, and part of you is holding back. You've heard language like this before. You've been told it's over before, and yet the next day, the weight was still there, the pressure still breathing down your neck. So let me say this clearly. Your hesitation doesn't offend anything holy. It actually proves how much you've endured. You don't trust easily anymore because hope has been expensive for you. That's understandable. But what makes this moment different is not the intensity of the words. It's the nature of what was released. This wasn't encouragement. This was a ruling. Here's what has already happened, whether you feel it yet or not. The season that was authorized to test you has reached its limit. The assignment against your peace has expired. The accusations that followed you like background noise no longer have jurisdiction. This wasn't paused. It wasn't delayed. It wasn't conditionally resolved. It ended fully. And no, there isn't a hidden clause that says as long as you perform. This wasn't based on your strength. It was based on authority. And authority doesn't need your permission to be valid. It simply enforces what's already decided. To understand why this is irreversible, you need to understand how seals work. In ancient times, when a king wanted a matter closed permanently, he didn't just sign his name. He sealed it. Melted wax, imprinted identity. Authority pressed into substance. Once that seal hardened, the document was no longer open for debate. To break it wasn't to question the paper, it was to challenge the king himself. That's what has been done concerning your trial. Not once, 3 times. 3 distinct seals, each locking a different dimension of your life, each reinforcing the finality of the verdict. The first seal is legal. This matters because so much of what you've been fighting wasn't emotional, it was judicial. Accusations, records, replays of failure. That internal courtroom where your past keeps getting called as evidence. But here's what shifted. The court convened. The judge took his seat. The accuser presented everything you already know about yourself and then some. And instead of arguing the facts, the judge dismissed the case on higher grounds, not because you were flawless, but because something more binding than your mistakes spoke on your behalf. There are 2 things that cannot be overturned in heaven: promise and oath. A promise alone is powerful. An oath alone is serious. But when both come from the same source, they become absolute. In divine law, that combination closes cases permanently. God didn't just promise to bring you through, he swore by himself that he would. And when God swears by his own name, there is no higher court to appeal to, no motion to reconsider, no loophole. The ruling stands. That's the legal seal. Not a feeling, not a motivational surge, a verdict. You've felt something shift in your chest recently, even if you couldn't explain it. That quiet steadiness, that sense of I'm still here. That's not random. That's the sound of a gavel coming down. Case dismissed. Authority withdrawn. The enemy can still shout, but he's shouting from outside the courtroom now. He doesn't have standing anymore. And that matters, because without legal access, nothing else he does can stick. But legal victory alone doesn't heal memory. It doesn't soothe trauma. That's why there's a second seal. This one doesn't operate in courtrooms. It operates in blood. Covenant blood. Not symbolic blood living, speaking blood. When Jesus entered covenant with you, it wasn't a one-time transaction. It was an ongoing agreement, his life bound to yours, his defense speaking continuously on your behalf. Right now. Not yesterday, not someday. Now, this blood doesn't cry out for punishment. It speaks mercy, coverage, and protection. Every time an accusation tries to rise, the blood answers before it can finish its sentence. Paid, covered, mine. That's the blood seal. And what it creates isn't just forgiveness, it creates immunity. You're not just restored. You're untouchable in ways you weren't before. Attacks can still approach, but they can't penetrate. Like hitting reinforced glass. You'll feel the impact, but not the damage. There's a reason your body didn't break when it should have. A reason you're still standing after nights that should have taken you out. That wasn't resilience. That was covenant. Something held you when you couldn't hold yourself. And now that same covenant is enforcing boundaries around you. You're not exposed anymore. You're sealed, but there's one more seal, and this one required something costly. It required death. Not physical death, but identity death. The version of you that entered the trial didn't survive it. And that's not tragedy. That's protocol. Before resurrection, there must be confirmation of death, not exhaustion, not burnout. Death, because what hasn't died can always come back. Think about what didn't make it through. The belief that effort alone would save you. The need for approval that kept you overextended. The assumption that certain people would always stay. Even the prayer language that used to work but stopped producing results. All of that died along the way. And you tried to revive it, not realizing it was supposed to end. But it's gone, and that's necessary. There's a thought you've been afraid to admit that maybe you deserved the pain, that maybe this wasn't warfare but punishment. Let me dismantle that now. You didn't deserve it, but you were chosen to carry something through it. There's a difference. You weren't targeted because you were weak. You were trusted because you could endure. And you didn't want to die. You just wanted the pain to stop. You imagined disappearing, not because you hated life, but because you were tired of existing underweight, and the relief scared you. But hear this clearly. The fact that you're still here isn't proof of your strength. It's proof of restraint placed on your life by something stronger than your despair. This pattern is ancient. Old identity, wilderness, death, new authority. Moses, Jacob, Paul, Peter. The same sequence repeats because it works. What came out of the fire always carries more authority than what went in. And that's what the third seal does. It encrypts your new identity inside God Himself. Hidden, secured, inaccessible to your past, your trauma, or your fear, encrypted things don't get hacked. They require clearance, and the enemy doesn't have it. Your old self is gone, not buried, but reduced to ash. Ash can't be resurrected. It's final, and that finality is what protects you now. Here's what comes next. The seals will be tested, not because they're weak, but because the enemy is predictable. Over the next few weeks, situations will arise that try to pull you backward. Old connection, manufactured crisis, comparison, financial pressure, isolation, internal doubt. These aren't signs the seals failed. They are proof you're active. Tests don't invalidate authority. They reveal it. Your new assignment isn't to fight. It's to stand. Standing is not passive. It's enforcement. Refusing to re-engage is how you honor the seals, and when you do, something will become obvious not just to you but to others. There's a boundary around you now, a calm, a weightlessness, a presence that doesn't need to prove itself. So let this lad, you're not in the middle anymore. You're on the other side, learning how to live without chains you got used to carrying. The trial is over. The seals are set, and what's ahead of you won't require survival, it will require confidence. You're not going back. You're not reopening anything. This chapter is closed. And this time, it's sealed.